Welcome back. The boys in gold are on a roll with back-to-back wins. They advanced to quarterfinals in US Open Cup, and now they're back for another two-match lead. Let's talk about all that and more here on Spotlight. Welcome back, my friend. It's good to have you back on the desk.
It's always good to be here. Spotlight is the best time, especially when the boys in gold are playing as well as they're playing. A lot of good things to talk about, but most importantly, y'all know me, I'm a vibes guy, so when the vibes are up, I'm up.
Let's jump right in, talk about US Open Cup. The boys in gold advanced to quarterfinals against Orlando.
Yep.
Let's talk about this match. We saw a bunch of newcomers on the rotation on the starting squad. What was your impression of them?
Well, first of all, I love this tournament. I always loved it, playing in it. There's a lot of just novelty, not only just in lineups, but you never know what you're going to get with Open Cup fixtures. Whether it's an MLS team playing against a USL team or two MLS teams battling it out, you're seeing typically the best of an entire organization, or sometimes the worst, because you typically have to rotate, you have to get into your bag a little bit deeper than in league play, and that's exactly what we saw in Orlando. A lot of people counted BJ Callahan's team out because of the fact that he rotated so heavily, where Oscar Pareja elected to go with essentially a first-choice roster away in Orlando. Always difficult to come away with what you want from it, whether it's Open Cup or MLS play, and the boys in gold played that game to an absolute T. I loved what I saw.
I mean, BJ Callahan often talks about in the press conference how these guys are all fighting for a spot. They're all trying to prove their spot on the roster, and I think this roster was unexpected, but they proved themselves.
Yeah, I think maybe from the outside looking in, the roster changes may have been unexpected, but if you really pay attention to how BJ Callahan has been weaving players in, next man up mentality through MLS play, it didn't come as a surprise to me. And it also didn't come as a surprise to me that all of the members of the roster, like I said, who don't necessarily start as much in MLS play, looked of the level. Because when you have a facet of your team and your roster rotation that has allowed players like a Josh Bauer, like a Meyer earlier on in the season, of course, like a Cochran, to get bites at the apple earlier on, it gives you confidence in moments like this.
What does it mean to advance to the quarterfinals of US Open Cup for this team?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And obviously Open Cup has taken a new iteration this season with the multitude of tournaments coming into the play, whether you're talking about Leagues Cup, CONCACAF Champions, Club World Cup. So it's a little bit different now, but what you're seeing with the boys in gold is they understand the task. You talk about the players that haven't been getting the brunt of the minutes in MLS play having to step up. You can't talk enough about Corcoran getting assists. You can't talk enough about Meyer getting an absolute banger. Qasem continuing to show that he was the right winger to bring in early in the season because he's fit into this group like a seamless glove.
All right, let's talk about, we're going back to league play. Boys in gold played Toronto FC, took 3 points. Let's talk about Sam Surridge. How does he keep his form throughout the whole stretch of May? I mean, that's what, 7 matches in a month?
Yeah.
What does that look like as a player?
I mean, when you can ball and you're a baller, you're a baller. I mean, there's no real way around it, but the reason why Sam Surridge has continued to be so dangerous in front of goal or on the back post or coming alive in big moments as of late for the boys in gold is because the entire team on the offensive side is playing at a very high level. That's what you benefit from as a 9. When you have Schaffelberg spreading out the field, opening space, when you have Hani Mukhtar off to his best start in Nashville history, pretty crazy to say or think about, you can benefit from that as a 9. Also, Alex Muil has been chipping in on the offensive side. And then you have 3 players that are on 2 goals as well, 2 of those being defenders. That's where a 9 sometimes is ironically forgotten about more than focused on the defensive side from the opponents. And a player like Sam Surridge is going to punish you. If he has 2 or 3 opportunities, he's probably going to hit the back of the net a multitude of times in one match. And that's what we saw, not just in Toronto, but on a multitude of occasions this year.
He did. He loves to do that. And let's talk about Johnny Perez, who came off the bench, made an immediate impact. Talk about his role and how he's evolved with this team.
Yeah, I mean, again, another player where it's nothing new. When his number is called, he stepped up. Whether it's been in league play, getting into the starting lineup on a last-minute scratch and finding the back of the net, whether it's been an Open Cup, whether it doesn't matter. He understands what he needs to do, and that just doesn't fully come from understanding your role. It comes from being confident. It comes from taking the bull by its horns. And what I've liked from him since he's come, you know, from the best coast in the world, which is California, he's really...
I'd argue differently.
Yeah, of course you would. But in this time of the year, all times of the year, it's always going to be California for me. But with Johnny Perez, he's elevated the group ever since he's gotten here, and he's just getting better and better as he's getting more and more comfortable in the 615.
Yeah, he's a great kid, very humble, has a good attitude. Every time I see him, he's smiling out there. Let's talk about a big moment for the fans here. We saw Walker Zimmerman make his way back onto the field. Have you ever watched a movie and your favorite character disappears for a little while and you're trying to figure out what happened to them, when are they coming back, and then they make their appearance? Yeah. That is how I felt when I saw Walker Zimmerman back on the field.
Yeah, low-key Jon Snow vibes, you know? Yes. And I'm not the only one, you're not the only one that is extremely happy. First and foremost, to see him back on the field from a health standpoint. When you go out in the way that Walker went out, a couple of weeks ago, it's almost past a month now, everyone is just concerned for his health. And when you talk to people, fans, you know, anyone throughout the Nashville community, pretty much the number one question that people have been asking me is, how's Walker doing? When is he going to come back? And the fact that he's back is just an amazing sign. And then you weave that into how well the team has been playing. Oftentimes when a marquee figure like Walker, especially that is so crucial to the defense, goes out, the level of the team drops. But you have to remember, the boys in gold have not lost a single game in all competitions since the middle of April. We're now past the middle of May. So when you talk about what the task is for MLS teams, that's very, very difficult to do. And that's exactly why they're sitting in second place, only 3 points back from first place, and you got your captain back. You sitting nice, you sitting pretty, you sitting good, and you ready for anything that the summer has to throw at you.
I bet. Now, he's been out close to 50 days. Being a key player like him, how does he integrate back into this team?
When it's your house, do you have to feel integrated when you walk back in after vacation? No. And that's exactly what's going on here. If you want to take that analogy, if you're such a marquee player, if you've been out, especially for injury, it's not because of any other reason you haven't been selected. Everybody is happy that you're back. You feel confident, and the group has that extra wind in its sails. So again, when you are coming back into a situation as such a marquee player where the team is ascending, you know that all you have to do is do your thing and you're going to be jet fuel to the whole five.
All right. Well, Nashville SC heads to Columbus on Wednesday. They're level on points in the Eastern Conference standings. What makes this match so crucial at this point in the season?
I mean, you said it, being level on points, both of them trying to push into that first place spot early on into the season. It makes for a game that will produce very good football, first and foremost, important fixture, and it's a midweek one that will be the opposite of a doozy. And when you look at the history between these two clubs, there's a lot there. Don't forget that in 2020, Columbus was the team that knocked us out of the playoffs, and then they went on to subsequently win MLS Cup. There's been a lot of heavy fixtures here between the two of them, and this one for me might be of the highest importance between the two, save that 2020 playoff matchup.
Mm-hmm. What does Nashville SC's backline challenge for this match? I
mean, Diego Rossi, you have to make sure he stays off the score sheet. But for me, I think what's even more important is making sure you're always aware of where Jason Russell-Rowe is. Mm-hmm. Yes, Rossi has been the one that's hitting the back of the net. He's been getting assists. He is the leader when it comes to the offensive production for Columbus. But Jason Russell-Rowe is equally as important because he is that 9 that really occupies the 2 center backs, and he can score goals if you give him a half chance. He's probably going to hit the back of the net. And then when you talk about this Columbus team, they're the best footballing team in MLS, and not just this season, since Wilfried Nancy took over. And what I like about how Nashville has revamped themselves, they're playing beautiful football as well. Nashville scored 9 goals in their last 5 games, where Columbus has scored 10. So I expect this to be a high-scoring matchup, especially because, you have 2 teams with their number 9s and their support cast really playing good football and manufacturing goals.
Nashville SC is going to be hosting New York City here at Geodis Park. Mm-hmm. Before we get into the match, say you're a Nashvilleian, you're driving around town, you're seeing all of the NSC wins billboards. You're wondering, what is the buzz about? Why is now the time? Why is this the match and the opportunity for new fans to come out and become a new fan of Nashville Soccer Club?
Well, I mean, unless you got a Tesla, I don't know how you could drive a car past Geodis Park and you're still asleep. For me, if you haven't figured out and been involved with what's going on with Nashville SC, not only this season, but in years past, you are asleep in Nashville. When you talk about reinventing oneself as an organization, as a team, as a squad, as, you know, a cornerstone part of this community, Nashville SC has done that tenfold. You talk about 2024, it was a year where the team needed to rise up out of the ashes like a phoenix. They did that, and they've had their best start in organizational history from a footballing standpoint. You have your designated player, like I said earlier, and Hani Mukhtar having the best start to his MLS career, which is crazy to say. Walker Zimmerman's back in the fold. Sam Suric has 10 goal contributions. I don't really know what else you need. You got defenders hitting the back of the net. Joe is still balling out between the sticks. There are so many things here, and what a community always wants from their team. I don't care where you are, what sport it is. They want them to win. They want them to win because winning breeds the confidence within all of us to say, okay, we're doing things right in Nashville. And that permeates and transcends football. That goes into how we think of ourselves as Nashvillians. So for me, again, if you haven't been at Geodis Park, you are asleep. Wake up and pull up to the game against New York City.
You heard it. You have to wake up, and we'll find you here at Geodis Park this Saturday. But let's talk about the match real quickly. New York City sits a little bit behind Nashville SC on the Eastern Conference standings. What are you expecting from this matchup?
Yeah, I think similarly to the Columbus fixture, you're going to have a team that is coming into Geodis Park that understands that they are very close to pushing themselves close to that top spot in the East. So it's going to be a competitive match every single time that New York City comes into Nashville, Geodis Park, whatever have you. They typically put their best foot forward, and it's a very good fixture. When you talk about what Nashville has to do on the defensive side, you have to keep Alonso Martinez off the score sheet. He's hitting the back of the net for fun. He's very confident right now, and the Costa Rican international has literally put the team on his back when it comes to goal scoring contributions. Wolf has been good as well. And don't forget about the fact that this is another team that is good on the ball. They play a good brand of football. So what I would like to think is that both sides will like or want the ball. So that leads for a very important matchup in the midfield. And when you talk about Nashville, their midfield, not only rotation when it comes to a roster standpoint, I'm talking about rotation with the ball and rotation without the ball to get it back as quickly as possible has been one of, if not the most important, I would say, identity changes or identity progressions that we've seen in 2025.
New York City is known to have one of the best defenses in the league. What does Nashville SC have to do to break them down?
I think to be patient, to be fair, because like you said, New York City moves very well as a unit. They defend well as a unit. They have athleticism, especially on the wings, to cover the center backs because the two center backs aren't necessarily as pacey as, again, the outside backs, whether it's Tavon Gray or whoever they put out there on either side. They have pace. So for me, it's one where you have to be patient when you have the ball in front of the back line and look for moments where you can release in space, whether it's Kassem on the wing, whether it's Muil on the wing, whether it's Schaff on the wing, it doesn't matter. But I think if you're intricate in your play in front of the back line, you can expose the back line. But I think if you try to go too direct, initially, you have a situation where the outside backs of New York are typically pretty good, especially one-on-one. And then for me, set pieces is where the boys in gold can typically find the back of the net or look for more opportunities to do so, whether Walker Zimmerman appears in the game, whether he's a main fixture in the game, that's an added cog in your wheel when you talk about being able to get more players forward that are dangerous on set pieces. Don't forget, Lovitz has 2 goals as well on set pieces as a defender.
If Nashville SC can get a result from both games, this finishes the Mania chapter.
Yep.
What does this have to say to the Eastern Conference?
I mean, that them boys is greedy. That's what it would say to me if you're able to continue to win, continue to get results. Again, in a league with so much parity where you could be playing the bottom dwellers in MLS, it's still going to be a difficult game, whether it's home or away. But what I've loved about how the boys in gold have approached this season is that they're not waiting, they're not procrastinating. Because when you do in MLS, you're typically getting to like October and you're like, damn, if we would have just won those 2 games that we tied in April, we would be in second place or something when you're sitting in 7th. No, they're saying we want all the points now. And for me, what it would continue to say is that Nashville is not a team of 11 or 13 or 14 guys. It's a team of an entire roster that whoever is matched up against you, you're going to have problems, and everybody that's wearing gold has shown in 2025 that they want that smoke.
All right, well, the final chapter of Mania is here with another 2-match week. 2 huge matchups with major momentum, a big opportunity to keep climbing up the standings. You can catch both matches on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV or listen with our friends locally on 104.5 The Zone. Thanks for watching Spotlight.